世界那么大，问题那么多，国际社会期待听到中国声音，看到中国方案。我真诚希望国际社会携起手来，秉持人类命运共同体的理念，把我们这个星球建设得更加和平，更加繁荣。
Countries tend to be good neighbors if they share the same likes and dislikes.
中国人讲，邻居家有喜事，都应该前来道贺。
China's diplomacy is based on the principles of non-conflict, non-confrontation, mutual respect and win-win cooperation.
Certainly seems that President Xi had an impact on President Trump.
So tight is Xi Jinping's schedule on his overseas trips that he scarcely has time to eat and sleep. China's policy towards its neighbours is based on amity, sincerity, mutual benefit and inclusiveness.
ជីវិតឲ្យកាន់តែវែងដល់ថ្លៃថ្លានិងកិត្តិយសបំផុតនៅពេលដែលបានគង់ឬអង្គុយនៅលើកៅអីដ៏ពិសេសរបស់គាត់នេះ
It's March the 14th, 2013. Xi Jinping is elected President of the People's Republic of China and Chairman of the Central Military Commission. Global governance and the international order are going through a period of profound adjustment. Great changes are taking place in China's relations with the rest of the world. China is becoming more closely integrated into the international community than at any time in history. Diplomacy is like a game of chess. In the face of a complex and volatile international and regional situation, how will China handle its foreign relations for the benefit of itself and the rest of the world? The first move in a game of chess is always carefully considered. On March the 8th, 2013, the Foreign Ministry announced that Xi Jinping would make his first overseas trip as Chinese president. His destination, Russia. This is the Moscow restaurant in Beijing, 6 kilometers northwest of the Chinese government headquarters at Zhongnanhai. China and Russia are neighbors sharing rivers and mountains. Numerous historical sites in China bear testimony to the length of their mutual friendship. China and Russia have always viewed their bilateral relationship as a diplomatic priority. But how will the profound changes taking place in the international arena affect how they deal with each other? When the two heads of state meet, what signals will they send out to the world? For the first time ever, a mounted guard of honor greets a foreign leader to Russia. Xi Jinping becomes the first foreign head of state to visit Russia's Ministry of Defense and the command center of the country's armed forces. The Chinese and Russian leaders hold 8 hours of talks. The high-level reception extended to Xi Jinping demonstrates Russia's respect for China and the importance it attaches to their special relationship. The two countries sign 32 major long-term cooperation agreements. Known as Century Projects, these pragmatic arrangements serve to deepen the Sino-Russian Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. The exchanges between the two leaders are open and amicable, and they chart the course for the development of bilateral relations.
Мы хотим жить в многополисном мире, а не мире, которым командуют американцы или в целом Запад.
It's the morning of March the 23rd, 2013. Chinese President Xi Jinping, on his state visit to Russia, is addressing a crowded conference hall at the Moscow State Institute of International Relations. In his speech, Xi presents a new concept of international relations based on win-win cooperation.
西方国际关系里头的一个基本的就是现实主义。第一个，实力最重要；第二个就是利益至上。
Xi Jinping's new concept of international relations goes beyond the traditional theoretical framework supported by the United States and other Western countries. It favors abandoning the world order designed to facilitate opposition and confrontation, and instead advocates mutually beneficial cooperation designed to boost peace and development. Ideas guide action. This new concept sets out the future direction for China's diplomatic ties with Russia and other countries. During visits to Kazakhstan and Indonesia in the autumn of 2013, Xi Jinping proposes jointly building a Silk Road economic belt and a maritime Silk Road of the 21st century. Together, these plans have become known as the Belt and Road Initiative. The Silk Road economic belt extends across Eurasia. Russia had earlier proposed establishing a Eurasian Economic Union in the same region. Coordinating the two proposals became a key issue in China-Russia relations. It's early February 2014, the start of the Chinese Year of the Horse. Xi Jinping is attending the opening ceremony of the Sochi Winter Olympics.
中国人讲，邻居家有喜事，都应该前来道贺。
Xi Jinping takes the opportunity to brief his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on the Belt and Road Initiative.
So far, we are building union on different matters, different grounds. It's a very beginning for belt, economic belt. It's all in the future.
In May 2015, Xi Jinping visits Russia once again, this time to attend the ceremony marking the 70th anniversary of Russia's victory in the Second World War. During the visit, he and President Putin signed the Joint Declaration on Cooperation in Coordinating the Development of the Silk Road Economic Belt and the Eurasian Economic Union. The agreement represents a major step forward for the Belt and Road Initiative. This strategic consensus between China and Russia is supported by other members of the Eurasian Economic Union. May 2017. President Putin is in China to attend the Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation. 2 months later, Xi Jinping makes another state visit to Russia, and he and President Putin agree a comprehensive plan for developing bilateral relations.
Си Цзиньпинь уделяет огромное личное внимание развитию российско-китайских отношений. Он их друг хороший и очень надежный партнер.
In the course of the past 5 years, the leaders of China and Russia have met on more than 20 occasions. These frequent contacts and their deepening friendship have made the relationship between the two countries the best it's ever been in history. As permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, China and Russia work together, support each other, and closely cooperate with each other in international and regional affairs. They're working to make the international order more just and equitable, and are playing an increasingly important role in maintaining the international order and global stability. Sino-Russian relations are characterized by non-alignment, non-confrontation, and non-targeting of any third parties. As such, they become a model of a new relationship between countries.
Beijing.
Song Pendong is a Chinese ice hockey player. As an image ambassador for the 2022 Winter Olympics, he's becoming famous around the world. In 2015, Song joined the New York Islanders, becoming the first Chinese-born player to be drafted into the US's 100-year-old National Hockey League.
刚开始来的时候，他们也没见过中国孩子打冰球，他们都不知道就是中国有人打球。
I think Misha Song right now is the Yao Ming of hockey in China.
Before Song Andong's arrival, no Chinese player had ever been part of the NHL, the world's leading ice hockey league. In the second decade of the 21st century, the United States has had to face a new reality, that China has become the world's second largest economy and is continuing its rapid development. A rising power will inevitably confront a ruling power. This is what Western realist philosophy calls the Thucydides trap. Can China and the US avoid this trap? In November 2016, Donald Trump was elected President of the United States. In the eyes of many, his election added fresh uncertainty to the already complicated relations between China and the US. While the international community was wondering what course these relations were about to take, Xi Jinping decided he should meet President Trump. The first face-to-face meeting between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump takes place at the Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, on April the 6th, 2017.
Mr. Xi and Mr. Trump are both very strong personalities.
The two big challenges on the table were the bilateral economic relationship between them, in particular trade, and secondly, the security relationship.
Mr. Xi is much more self-confident and comfortable with the issues, ranged much more freely over many sensitive issues and not so sensitive issues.
It certainly seems President Trump really appreciated the sincere and in-depth communication with President Xi.
During Xi Jinping's two-day stay, he and his wife Peng Liyuan meet 3 generations of the Trump family.
那会晤当天的下午，在习主席抵达海湖庄园前半个小时，特朗普总统呢就带着女儿伊万卡、女婿库什纳，早早地来到客厅等候。他还亲自检查客厅的布置，对不满意的地方特朗普总统呢立即命令工作人员进行调整。他本人呢甚至亲自上手。
During 2 days, the two leaders hold 7 hours of in-depth and constructive discussions on the development of bilateral relations. They announced that 4 high-level dialogue platforms will be established on diplomacy and security, on the economy, on law enforcement and cybersecurity, and on society and culture.
习主席说过，双方有1000条理由把中美关系搞好，没有1条理由 把中美关系搞坏，这次会晤实际上是两国元首的一次战略沟通，增进了战略互信，起到了战略引领的作用。
Following the Mar-a-Lago meeting, President Trump makes some positive comments about the Chinese leader.
Stoltenberg
constantly condemned
with President Xi of China. Really liked him. We had a great chemistry, I think. I mean, at least I had.
President Xi wants to do the right thing. We had a very good bonding. I think we had a very good...
Certainly seems that President Xi had an impact on President Trump.
Mutual understanding and respect are based on frank exchanges and open communication. Xi Jinping often uses classical allusions to illustrate the Chinese concepts of peace and harmony. His interpreter, Sun Ning, offers many examples of this.
习主席呢，他讲了明朝的郑和的故事，就是说郑和当时下西洋，率领的是世界上最强大的舰队，但是呢，他不是要去占领别人的土地，而是说给别人送去了像丝绸啊、茶叶啊，去促进中国和那些国家人民之间的友好交往。
Over the past 5 years as China's chief diplomat, wherever he goes, Xi Jinping has promoted the image of China as a responsible major country that's working for peace and mutual benefit. During his time in the United States, ice hockey player Sung Andong has seen at first hand how Americans have come to understand China better. He's now studying Sino-US relations at Cornell University. Sung Andong and his American teammates are likely to be opponents at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, but this hasn't stopped them becoming friends. Competition and cooperation are two sides of the coin that is China-US relations. What matters is that the two sides are balanced. On September the 22nd, 2015, Xi Jinping addresses this issue in the US city of Seattle.
世界上本无修昔底德陷阱，但大国之间一再发生战略误判，就可能自己给自己造成修昔底德陷阱。我们愿同美方加深对彼此战略走向、发展道路的了解，多一些理解，少一些隔阂；多一些信任，少一些猜忌，防止战略误解误判。
Just a month after the Xi-Trump meeting at the Mar-a-Lago resort, the two countries announced that, as part of a 100-day plan, they'd reached agreement on 10 early harvest projects. These covered sectors including agriculture, finance and energy. In June 2017, the first round of China-US dialogue on diplomacy and security was held in Washington, D.C. And in July, the first round of comprehensive economic dialogue took place. Xi Jinping's policies of non-conflict, non-confrontation, mutual respect and win-win cooperation show the way for China and the United States to escape the Thucydides trap and achieve the healthy and steady development of bilateral relations. Sino-US cooperation stands to benefit not only the people of the two countries, but also those of the Asia-Pacific region and the whole world. China is a sleeping lion. When she wakes, she will shake the world. With China's economy developing rapidly during recent years, it's become especially important to strengthen communication and exchange between China and Europe. It's March the 31st, 2014, and Xi Jinping is visiting the headquarters of the European Union. This is the first such visit by a Chinese head of state since China and the European Union established diplomatic relations. During a speech, President Xi uses the analogy of a bridge to illustrate Chinese policy towards the EU.
我们要共同努力建造和平、增长、改革、文明四座桥梁，建设更具全球影响力的中欧全面战略伙伴关系。
His schedule for his 11-day European trip is tight. He visits 4 countries and 2 international organizations, attends a summit meeting, and is present at 84 events.
习主席每次出访，日程呢安排都是异常的繁忙紧张，往往是多双边活动相互交织，一场连着一场。基本上每天呢都要有8、9场活动。 习主席经常是一大早就离开饭店开始活动，晚上很晚才能回到饭店，强度很大。
From Berlin and Paris to London, from Helsinki in Finland close to the Arctic Circle, to Rhodes in Greece in the Aegean Sea, Xi Jinping's visits unfold a new map of China-EU relations. High-level visits improve bilateral relations, expand the scope of cooperation, and promote mutual interests. Sino-German relations are no longer limited to an economic partnership. The two countries are now political and strategic partners. China and France, building on the courage they displayed 50 years ago in breaking the ice and establishing diplomatic relations, are ushering in a new era of comprehensive strategic partnership. China-UK relations have passed a new milestone and opened the door to a bilateral golden age. The cooperation between China and 16 countries in Central and Eastern Europe is progressing steadily. From Beijing to the Czech Republic, from Serbia to Poland, Xi Jinping has been striving to coordinate what's known as 16+1 cooperation. Supported by the development of the Belt and Road Initiative and of China-EU relations, he's working for the common development and prosperity of China and the CEE countries. It's December the 25th, 2015. In Beijing, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank is founded. The first multilateral financial institution proposed by China, the bank will complement the established international financial system.
People were concerned here and in America and in other parts of Europe that AIIB might try to replace ADB, the Bretton Woods structure for Asia.
France, Germany and Italy are following.
3 more European countries have announced they will join the China-led Asian...
In all, 18 European countries were among the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank's 57 founding members. Analysts have described the bank as a fresh achievement in win-win cooperation between China and the EU.
"中国这头狮子已经醒了，但这是一只和平的、可亲的、文明的狮子。"
The comparison to a lion awakening helps Europe understand China. China and the European Union are steadily deepening their mutual trust and stepping up their cooperation. The development of relations between China and the European Union, two of the contemporary world's major powers, markets and civilizations, is playing an increasingly important strategic role in improving the international order and promoting world peace and development. China and the surrounding region is an area of enormous strategic importance. During recent years, the security situation among China's neighbors has remained generally stable, yet there remain maritime disputes and new geopolitical challenges for China to address.
中国的崛起，周边国家就是有的感觉到所谓的受威胁了、不安全了、不确定性了。
In October 2013, a symposium was held in Beijing on China's diplomacy with its neighbors. It was the first such meeting since the People's Republic of China was founded in 1949. It saw Xi Jinping set out the policy of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit and inclusiveness in developing regional relations and resolving major diplomatic issues. ASEAN has always been a focus in China's regional diplomacy. It's October the 3rd, 2013. Xi Jinping is addressing the People's Representative Council of Indonesia. He proposes building a close China-ASEAN community of shared future and working together to build a maritime Silk Road in the 21st century. The inauguration of the Lancang-Mekong Cooperation Mechanism is one of several initiatives over the past 4 years designed to make the friendship between China and ASEAN deeper and more pragmatic. China has a long history of close ties with many of its neighbors. The friendship between China and Cambodia has grown stronger with time. In safeguarding their legitimate rights and interests, each country can always rely on the staunch support of the other. In July 2016, at an ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, some countries attempted to have the pronouncements in the so-called South China Sea arbitration included in the meeting's joint communique. The attempt was foiled, thanks to the opposition of Cambodia and other countries. The BBC hailed this as a victory for China's diplomacy. The Cambodian mainstream newspaper Razme Kampuchea quoted Xi Jinping as saying, "Cambodia is a true friend and a good neighbor, just like a brother." It's October 2016 and Xi Jinping is visiting Cambodia. The warm reception he's afforded reflects the special relationship between the two countries. Norodom Mononith is in her 80s. She and Xi Jinping together present a basket of flowers at the memorial to her late husband, King Norodom Sihanouk. She also invites Xi to sit on the chair the king often used. This is something no one else has been permitted to do since the king's passing.
Trong បញ្ជាក់ថាដែលគាត់អញ្ជើញឲ្យអង្គុយកៅអីនេះគឺមានគោលបំណងពីរយ៉ាងបើតាមវប្បធម៌ខ្មែរទី1ចង់សម្ដែងនៅអនុស្សាវរីយ៍នឹករលឹកគ្នាទៅវិញទៅមកមិនអាចបំភ្លេចបានទី2សូមគោរពជូនជីវិតឲ្យកាន់តែវែងដល់ថ្លៃថ្លានិងកិត្តិយសបំផុតនៅពេលដែលបានគង់ឬអង្គុយនៅលើកៅអីដ៏ពិសេសរបស់គាត់នេះ
During the visit in the presence of Xi Jinping and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, the two countries signed 31 documents on cooperation. They cover many areas, including diplomacy, industrial capacity cooperation, and joint development of the Belt and Road. Chinese people often refer to Pakistan as their brother country. This indicates the depth of their friendship. It's April 2015 and Xi Jinping is visiting Pakistan. Wherever the Chinese president goes, the welcome is overwhelming.
中巴建立了全天候友谊，开展了全方位合作。无论国际风云和两国国内局势如何变化，两国在涉及彼此核心利益问题上一贯 相互理解，相互支持，这份情谊堪称独一无二。
Xi Jinping goes on to say that in December 2014, when terror attacks on the Army Public School in Peshawar killed 141 teachers and students, China immediately issued the strongest condemnation and offered assistance. The injured students were invited to China for medical treatment. Once again, the Pakistani people felt the deep friendship of the Chinese people. During President Xi's visit, the leaders of the two countries agreed to elevate China-Pakistan relations to an all-weather strategic cooperative partnership. By all-weather, they mean that the two countries will always move ahead together, come rain or shine. Such a definition is unique in China's foreign relations, and it indicates that the friendship between China and Pakistan is special, lasting, and sound. Myanmar is another of China's close neighbours.
Aung San Suu Kyi is a living symbol of this country. Part of the respect that people have for her is due.
In November 2015, the National League for Democracy, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, won a sweeping victory in the Myanmar general election. This momentous political development made headlines around the world. The outside world was convinced that the election would mark a deterioration in the China-Myanmar relationship, as China had had little contact with the National League for Democracy. Yet, 2.5 years earlier, in May 2013, the International Department of the CPC Central Committee had invited a National League for Democracy delegation to visit China. This paved the way for bilateral inter-party exchange.
ဒါကျမတို့ပထမဦးဆုံးခီးစဉ်ကျမတို့ပါတီအနေနဲ့ဒါသွားမယ်ဆိုတော့လေပထမဦးဆုံးလည်းဒါရွေးပြီးတော့လွတ်တာဖြစ်တယ်ကိုကဥဆောင်တဲ့တဲမှာလည်းပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်လူကြီးတယောက်အနေနဲ့သွားတော့စိုးလဲစိုးရိမ်တာပေါ့
During their visit, they travelled to Yunnan, which borders Myanmar, to Fujian on China's southeast coast, and eventually to the capital, Beijing. In the course of 11 days, they gained a fresh understanding of China and the Communist Party.
ခုနကကျွန်မပြောသလိုပဲထင်ထားတာနဲ့မျက်စိနဲ့မြင်ရတဲ့အခါကျတော့ကြွားကြားချက်တွေကရှိတာတွေ့ရပါတယ်
The early communication opened up high-level inter-party exchanges between China and Myanmar. Aung San Suu Kyi would later say the Communist Party of China is a welcoming party. It's June 2015, and the National League for Democracy delegation headed by Aung San Suu Kyi is visiting China. In what is described by the international media as an historic meeting, Xi Jinping holds talks with Aung San Suu Kyi. Later, after forming a new government in Myanmar in April 2016, Aung San Suu Kyi decides to make China the first non-ASEAN country she visits.
And you're quite right, she's visiting China before going to Washington.
In the media, this is reported as a success for China's diplomacy.
Joined now by Richard.
In April 2017, during a visit to China by Myanmar President U Tin Kyaw, the two countries sign a series of bilateral agreements. Commentators state that China and Myanmar are moving steadily down the path to being good neighbours, good friends, good brothers, and good partners. From Southeast Asia to South, Central, and Northeast Asia, over the past 5 years, half of President Xi Jinping's state visits have been to China's neighbours. This focus is clearly aimed at promoting the country's regional diplomacy. China, while safeguarding its own sovereignty, security, and development interests, adheres to the policy of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness in relations with its neighbours, and is sharing the fruits of progress with them. Africa today is very different from its traditional image. Optimism, progress, and vitality are among the new keywords used to describe the continent. Africa has a vast labour force and a huge consumer market. Against the backdrop of the global economic slowdown, Africa remains a land of opportunity.
Il y a des ressources naturelles importantes, il y a des capacités humaines importantes parce que 60% de la population africaine est encore jeune. Donc.
These factors are encouraging many countries to expand their markets and increase their influence in Africa. China and Africa enjoy long-standing fraternal relations. In the 1970s, when China resumed its seat at the United Nations, it was said to have been carried there on the shoulders of Africa. At the same time, despite its own economic difficulties, China was determined to build the Tanzania-Zambia Railway, a monument to the friendship between China and Africa. Zhou Ping's father helped build the Tanzania-Zambia Railway. Today, Zhou and his son are visiting the places where his father worked.
我父亲给我讲过，当时他们在修建坦赞铁路的时候，当时的条件呢非常艰苦，这条铁路啊，基本上是靠肩挑背扛把它修建出来的。
The People's Republic of China has, since its founding, always regarded relations with other developing nations as the basis of its diplomatic work. This is evident in its friendly cooperation with Africa. It's March the 24th, 2013. 10 days after being elected President of China, Xi Jinping begins a visit to Africa. The following day, in a speech at the Julius Nyerere International Convention Center in Tanzania, he says, "We will continue to treat our African friends with sincerity. We seek to deliver real outcomes in conducting cooperation with Africa. We will continue to build a close bond of friendship with Africa. We will resolve problems that may occur in our cooperation with good faith." His 30-minute speech is interrupted by applause on 30 occasions. The acclaim reflects how moved Africans are by China's willingness to promote mutual support and common development. Zhou Ping and his son are also building railways in Africa. 3 generations of his family have witnessed the history of friendship between China and Africa. As a symbol of the cooperation between China and Africa, railways have special significance. This is the China-built Mombasa to Nairobi Railway. The various wildlife overpasses along the route are all over 6.5 meters high, leaving room for a giraffe to pass underneath without bowing its head. This is an example of how China's railway builders have fulfilled their promise to help Africa build quality railways while protecting the environment. The railway is helping to drive the development of Mombasa, the biggest port in East Africa. It's also invigorating the Mombasa Special Economic Zone. This model of integrating land routes, ports and zones embodies the new concept of cooperation between China and Africa.
La presque totalité des Africains ont des relations avec la République populaire de Chine. Cette sincérité va d'abord sur la conception commune et faire ce qui est d'abord désiré par la partie africaine.
It's December 2015 and Xi Jinping is visiting Africa again. At the Johannesburg summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, unanimous agreement is reached on elevating China-Africa relations to the level of a strategic cooperative partnership. Xi Jinping announces 10 major cooperation projects. They're designed to help Africa realize industrialization and agricultural modernization and to support its infrastructure development. The cooperation between China and Africa is based on genuine friendship and fairness. As such, it has proved fruitful to both sides. Latin America is another emerging region with enormous development potential. In recent years, China has been comfortably the biggest or second biggest trading partner of most Latin American countries. It's also the largest importer of Latin American energy, mineral products, soybeans and sugar. Even mountains and seas can't separate people with common aspirations. This is demonstrated by the 3 visits paid by President Xi to Latin America since he took office. During a meeting with Latin American leaders in 2014, Xi Jinping proposes the creation of a 5-in-1 pattern of China-Latin America relations and a 1+3+6 formula for promoting bilateral cooperation. The proposals enjoy the support of the other leaders at the meeting. In response to such genuine offers of cooperation, the Latin America countries have thrown their doors open to China. During Xi Jinping's 2014 visit, China and Latin America agreed to establish a comprehensive cooperative partnership. They also commit themselves to inaugurating the China-CELAC Forum. This agreement follows a series of similar arrangements with other regions, among them the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, China-ASEAN Intergovernmental Cooperation Mechanism, China-Africa Cooperation Forum, China-Arab States Cooperation Forum, Summit of China and Central and Eastern European countries, and China-Pacific Island countries Economic Development and Cooperation Forum. Altogether, these arrangements form a system of regional multilateral cooperative frameworks involving China and developing countries around the world.
中东是一块富饶的土地，让我们感到痛心的是，这里迄今仍未摆脱战争和冲突。中东向何处去？这是世界屡屡提及的中东之问。少一些冲突和苦难，多一点安宁和尊严，这是中东人民的向往。
At the beginning of 2016, Saudi Arabia severed diplomatic ties with Iran. Yet, to the surprise of the world, Xi Jinping chose this moment to visit the region. He was the first foreign leader to travel to Saudi Arabia and Iran since they cut diplomatic ties. He was also the first foreign head of state to visit Iran after international sanctions were lifted. The Chinese leader, through his many overseas visits, demonstrates his diplomatic vision and courage. They also reveal China's unique diplomatic advantages and influence in the Middle East. In a speech at the headquarters of the Arab League, Xi Jinping urges all sides involved in regional conflicts to pursue dialogue and development. He outlines China's approach to solving the Middle East issue, which is to take a comprehensive approach in addressing both the symptoms and the root cause. It's the spring of 2017, and as testament to China's influence in the Middle East, a succession of leaders, including King Salman of Saudi Arabia and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, visit Beijing. July the 18th, 2017. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas pays a state visit to China. He presents his country's highest award to Xi Jinping. The medal recognizes the Chinese leader's work for peace in the Middle East. The problems in the Middle East cannot be solved overnight. However, Xi Jinping, by squarely facing the sensitive issues there, demonstrates China's confidence in its diplomacy and its readiness to assume responsibility as a major country. Promoting diplomatic relations with the great powers, with neighbours and with developing countries. Over the past 5 years, in the course of 28 state visits covering 5 continents, Xi Jinping has exchanged views with numerous heads of state. The goal of his diplomacy is simple: to ensure that China remains strategically active across the globe.
中国外交积极进取、主动作为，构建了全方位、多层次和立体化的战略布局。我们已经同97个国家和国际组织建立了不同形式的伙伴关系。可以说，中国的朋友圈越来越大。
On the morning of April the 18th, 1955, the leaders and representatives of 29 Asian and African countries and territories walked down the street in Bandung, Indonesia, to Independence Building. They included Zhou Enlai, Sukarno, and Jawaharlal Nehru, and they were participating in the world's first large-scale Asian-African conference, the Bandung Conference. It's spring 2015, and the historic walk to Independence Building is being reenacted. This time, around 100 Asian and African leaders and representatives are taking part. They include Xi Jinping and Indonesian President Joko Widodo. On this stone monument are carved what are known as the 10 Principles of Bandung, including the 5 Principles of Peaceful Coexistence. Even after 50 years, these 5 principles remain the cornerstone of Chinese diplomacy. They have become even more relevant in the new global environment. Traveling alone, a person can go fast. Traveling with others, a person can go far. In the past 5 years, the CPC Central Committee, with Xi Jinping as the core, has played an active role in building a new type of international relations based on win-win cooperation. In doing so, it has provided China's answer to the question of what direction international relations should take in the 21st century. Geared towards the future and the world, major country diplomacy with Chinese characteristics will continue to champion peace, development, cooperation, and mutual benefit.